Broke isn't a bank balance. It's a posture, a way of moving through the world that has nothing to do with what's sitting in your account and everything to do with what's been running, unchecked, inside your mind. Most people never figure that out. They chase the number. They miss the architecture. There's a version of financial struggle that makes complete sense. Lost your job, medical costs blindsided you, the economy shifted under your feet without warning, that's circumstance. But there's another version that follows people through every salary increase, every promotion, every external upgrade life offers. The number goes up. The feeling stays exactly the same. If that second version feels familiar, this video isn't about your income. It's about the operating system you've never been shown how to examine. The first pattern is what might be called the competence bypass. You're intelligent, genuinely. You understand how credit works, you know what compound interest means. You've absorbed enough financial content to hold a coherent conversation about money at any dinner table. And because you understand it, some part of your brain has quietly filed it undersolved. This is precisely where the trap closes. Understanding a concept and integrating it into daily behavior are two entirely separate cognitive events, and the distance between them costs more than most people ever account for. The wealthy don't have better information. They have better installation. Knowledge that lives only in the mind as theory carries the same financial price as ignorance, which is everything. Closing that gap requires something most people aren't prepared for, a sustained period of behaving like someone you don't yet fully believe you are. That discomfort is real, it's daily, and it's the exact point where most people choose the familiar story over the unfamiliar outcome. They call it not being ready. What it actually is choosing comfort over identity. The second pattern runs deeper, scarcity as identity. Somewhere along the line, childhood, early adulthood, the first time money became a source of genuine panic, financial tightness stopped being a temporary condition and became a self-concept. It got woven into how you describe yourself, what you believe you deserve, what you expect life to offer you by default. The problem isn't that you've experienced financial pressure. The problem is that at some point the pressure became a personality, and personalities are extraordinarily resistant to change because they don't feel like stories, they feel like truth. When an opportunity arrives that doesn't match that identity, you don't evaluate it rationally. The door closes before you even reach it. The third pattern is the urgency illusion. Urgent things feel important. Important things almost never feel urgent. This is one of the most financially destructive mismatches in human psychology, and it runs almost entirely beneath conscious awareness. The bill due today gets handled. The investment habit that would reshape the next decade keeps getting deferred. The career conversation that needs to happen keeps losing to whatever is loudest in the room. Wealthy people have largely solved this, not through discipline in the way the word is typically used, but by restructuring their environment so that the important carries manufactured urgency. They don't wait for external pressure to arrive. They build it in deliberately. Most people are still waiting for the right moment to create it. That moment left to chance does not come. Stop here. Before the next insight lands, do something most people actively avoid: audit yourself. Not the concept, your own behavior. Identify one financial pattern you've been meaning to change for longer than 6 months. A specific one. Not a category, an actual behavior. Now ask yourself what story you have been carrying about why it hasn't changed. Because that story is not the reason. That story is the mechanism. The reason underneath it is that the story is serving you somehow, protecting you from something you haven't been willing to name yet. That is what this video is actually asking you to look at. Machiavelli wrote that men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessity that one who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. He wasn't describing fraud. He was describing the far more common phenomenon of self-deception, the way people construct entire financial lives around comfortable fictions, because confronting the fiction would cost them something they aren't ready to lose. That passage is 400 years old. The mechanism it describes has not changed once. The fourth pattern is social calibration. Humans are wired for belonging at a biological level, and financial behavior is no exception to that wiring. Most people unconsciously calibrate their spending, their ambition, and their risk tolerance to match the closest social environment they inhabit. Not because they're weak, because the nervous system reads deviation from the group as danger. When the people closest to you aren't building wealth, wealth-building behavior starts registering as a threat not to your finances but to your belonging. So you self-limit. You stay legible to the people who know you. Moving ahead starts to feel like moving away. They just stay. The fifth pattern is emotional accounting. Most financial decisions aren't made by the rational mind. They're made by whatever part of you is managing a feeling in that moment: relief, anxiety, status, guilt, the quiet need to feel normal for one afternoon. Every impulse purchase is an emotional transaction wearing financial clothing. Every avoided money conversation is emotional self-protection with a financial price tag attached. Wealthy people don't feel less emotion about money. They've learned, through consequence, not comfort, to separate the emotional event from the financial decision, not to suppress the feeling, to delay it just long enough for clarity to arrive. That gap between feeling and action is where financial character is actually built. Most people never find it because they've never been told it exists. The sixth pattern is the one almost no one names directly, which is probably why it does the most damage: the hidden investment in staying stuck. Financial struggle provides something. It provides a credible explanation for why life hasn't gone the way you imagined. It provides a socially acceptable reason not to attempt things that might fail. It provides protection from the vulnerability of genuine ambition, because if you never fully commit, you can never be fully judged. None of this is conscious strategy, but the mind doesn't sustain stories that don't serve it. If part of you is still using financial difficulty as a structural shield, no salary increase, no strategy, no external shift will hold. Because the deeper system isn't oriented toward wealth, it's oriented toward safety, and it is extraordinarily effective at that function. Machiavelli observed that a prince who relies solely on fortune will fall when fortune changes. The only durable position belongs to those who have built their own foundations. Translated out of the political and into the psychological, external conditions improving will not save you from an internal architecture designed to resist improvement. The economy can shift in your favor. Opportunity can arrive precisely timed, and a mind still invested in the story of its own limitation will find a way to leave both untouched. The shift this video is asking for is not financial. It's a willingness to examine where you are unconsciously working against the life you say you want. The income won't arrive before the identity. The identity must come first. That sequence is non-negotiable, and almost everyone inverts it. The people who figure this out don't become wealthy because they worked harder than everyone else. They become wealthy because they stopped being their own most sophisticated obstacle. Wealth is not what you earn. It is what you finally stop sabotaging.